Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. And I bring you another lesson in dealing with part 1 to part 3, Esau and Edom. The history confirms the word and their kingdom. So let us first open up with these scriptures here. We will go to 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7 through 9. And it reads, 2nd Ezra chapter 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. So when you understand these prophecies between Esau and Jacob, you will have understanding about the end time prophecies. For we know we are in Esau's kingdom, and I have several videos to give you further understanding about this. So I highly recommend that you watch the playlist that talks about Esau and Edom, for it discussed the prophecies between these two brothers here. And we know that the kingdom of Jacob is the new eternal kingdom, which is the new heaven and new earth, where you will have Yahuwah over all of us. Yahushua will be our King of kings, Master of masters, and High priest. And the nation of Israel will be below them. And within the nation of Israel, we will have handmaids and men servants, Israelites, and strangers who dwelt or sojourned in the land of Israel. Okay. And then below that, you will have the Gentile nations who would also be bringing in their offerings to the new holy Jerusalem. Let us also read verse 18 through 19. Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 18. And it said, Behold, the days come, and I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. So Zion does represent the children of Israel, the nation of Israel, for we know they are the daughter of Zion, as well as Edom is the daughter of Babylon, as written in Psalms chapter 137, and precept to that chapter is the book of Obadiah. Okay. Also, we know that the nation of Israel is still going through their current tribulation. For their tribulation started since 70 AD and has been ongoing now, and they have been captives throughout the whole world, the four corners of the earth. And we know America is Mystery Babylon. It is the woman that sit upon the beast. It is also modern day Egypt. And this is why Pharaoh will not let my people go. Okay. We also know Edom is the ruling nation or the ruling kingdom upon this earth, and soon his kingdom will be put to an end. Edom has joined himself with Satan and his fallen angels. That's how his kingdom have its powers and its ability to reign upon this earth. And he has mixed himself among the nations, so you think you cannot find him, but he can be found easily today. For there is an ancient trait he is not able to put away. Again, watch the playlist videos that pertain to Esau and Edom. So let us go to the article that will confirm about Pontius Pilate Judgment House. And I will put the link of this article in the description box so you can read. And the date of this article is March the 1st, 2016. The title of it, Tour Showcases Remains of Herod's Jerusalem Palace, Possible Site of the Trial of Yahushua. And before I start reading this, let me give you some history update. The reason why they say this is Herod's Jerusalem palace is because they have not studied the Bible or the works of Josephus. For when you look at the location of modern day Jerusalem and compare it to the true Jerusalem that was just discovered about 18 to 20 years ago, you begin to learn that that is not the true Jerusalem. So the palace they're looking at is the palace that he has built near Jericho. Now keep in mind, King Herod built many palaces throughout the land of Israel. He built many things. And I highly recommend that you read the work of Josephus to get more insight. So they are basing this information off of as modern Jerusalem of today being the true Jerusalem, but we know it is not the true Jerusalem. It is actually Elio Capitona and is also the location of the Amorite Jerusalem. Okay? So let us read. Visitors to Jerusalem, O city, can now explore remains of King Herod's palace, which may be where Roman Governor Pontius Pilate tried and condemned Yahushua of Nazareth to death. Excavating from 1999-2000 underneath an abandoned Ottoman period prison known as the Kishil, which is part of the so-called Tower of David complex. Israel Antiquity Authority archaeologists admit Riem uncovered the foundation walls and sewage system of Herod's Jerusalem palace. Tours offered through the Tower of David Museum will showcase these finds. Although the discovery of the remains of Herod's Jerusalem palace has recently made headlines, the finds are not surprising. According to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill archaeologist Jody Magnus, we have other remains of the substructure of King Herod's palace and its identification as the Praetorium. And the Praetorium is, my people, the Roman governor's residence and headquarters. It's not new either. Magnus told Bible History Daily. Now we're going to start there. So that is the proof that they want to say maybe, but it is actually the Praetorium of the Roman government residence and headquarters. This is where the Romans government officials would go there and reside. And if you've been reading Josephus and you understand about the Most High calendar, that area was more pleasant during the winter season. So this is why you have Pilate leaving Caesarea, which is located on the outer borders of Israel, in the province of Samaria, where the Mediterranean Sea is. This is why you have him coming to the palace that is built near Jericho. Okay? Because the climate was reasonable. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, Passover in springtime, but when you think about it, the month of Abib is close to the winter season because they were just coming out of winter season and just entering into spring. So therefore, Pontius Pilate would still be at that palace. Okay? So let us go to the next article. Now, the next article is dated for March the 31st, 2015. And the title of this article is Herod's Palace, Site of Yahushua, Censusing with a question. Because again, they don't want to say this is the place, but based on the evidence they have found and based on the Bible and the work of Josephus, that is the place where Yahushua was judged by Pontius Pilate. Okay? And I would put a link of that one also in the description box where you can play the video, but I'm not going to play the video to keep this video short. So the part we're going to read is at here. At the western edge of the old city, near the Japhet Gate, the Tower of David stands above the walls. In 1999, archaeologists found a building while working on the Tower of David Museum. It turned out to be the site of King Herod's palace. Records on its walls goes back to the first temple period, even before the time of Yahushua and the Roman governor who sentenced him to the cross, Pontius Pilate. For years, experts suggest that Pilate had handed down his death sentence from the Antonia fortress in the northeastern part of Old City, where the Roman Praetorian Guard was housed. But recent evidence uncovered at the site of King Herod's palace at the Tower of David indicates that the luxury-loving Pilate was more likely to have pronounced judgment from there. Israeli archaeologists admit Re'em directed excavations at Herod's palace. This is what he said. It's only logical to assume that the local Roman government here in Jerusalem, Pontius Pilate, sat also in the palace of Herod because he needed all those facilities, all this luxury. Re'em told CBN News. Okay. Re'em is familiar with the long history on the walls of the palace. It includes graffiti scrawled by prisoners held by British authorities who used it to incarcerate people in the 1940s before their mandate over the region ended. Pointing to the size of the cavernous edifice, Re'em said, "Until now, those impressive walls are the only remains from Herod Palace. We do not know what happened to the superstructures, to the palace itself. Maybe it was destroyed in a big revolt. Maybe it was destroyed by the Romans. Maybe it was destroyed by the Crusaders or the Ottomans," he speculated. And I'm going to stop there. So, keep in mind, when this land was exchanged throughout the three major religious groups of people, when they came to this area that is near Jericho, they will rebuild things or tear things down, and etc. etc. So keep in mind, you had the Romans, and that includes the Byzantine Empire. Then we had the Arabs, which includes the Ottoman Turks. And today we have the Jewish people who are the converts, who are not the true Jews there too. Okay. This link also will be in the description box. I'm also going to put this link in the description box because it gives you more information about the Tower of David, which is the museum. And this is where Pontius Pilate Judgment Hall is. And this is King Herod Palace. Okay. But I do want you to see the current picture of this museum, as well as the previous pictures of that area when they was digging it up for comparison. So you may want to pause the screen now to take a look, and then we'll go back up. I also gonna put Wikipedia link about the Tower of David, so you can see a more current picture. Okay. So let's go to the nitty gritty, the good stuff. So I went to Google Maps so we can see where is the Tower of David and how far is it from the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. And another name for that church is the Church of Resurrection. You can find more information about that church on wikipedia.com. Type in Church of the Holy Sepulchre and go to wikipedia.com. But on that site, it says that Constantine's mother found the found Calvary, and she found 3 crosses there. And what she did is she took each cross and placed it over a dead body. And the cross that raised up that body, actually, the dead body set up, was the cross that she knew was the cross that Yahushua Hamashiach was crucified on. Okay, so what they did, they built the church of the Holy Sepulchre upon it. So that's why in my album, the picture you see with a hole, that was the hole where the cross was actually implanted there before they took it down. Okay. Then we have a picture of the Western Wall over here. And this is a picture of Temple Mount. So you can see how far Temple Mount from here. Now I'm going to give you the distance. This is the time now you want to get your pencil and paper so you can write this down. So when I measure Temple Mount to the Western Wall, I got about 750. It was 750 feet, I believe. That's what I got. Make sure. Yeah, about 750 feet. For I used the measurement down here. Now I didn't get a chance to convert that into the miles, but I did get the other measurements converted. So let's start from the top. So get your pencil and paper ready. Now Calvary, another name for Calvary is in Hebrew Golgotha. Golgoth. And that means a skull-shaped hill. Scriptures pertaining to that is Matthew chapter 27, verse 33, Mark chapter 15, verse 22, Luke chapter 23, verse 33, and John chapter 19, verse 17. So when I measure the Tower of David, which is Pilate Judgment House, to Calvary, which is now the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, I got 1,000 feet. So when I convert it into miles, I got 0.189394 miles, which is 0.2 miles. When I convert it into furlongs, that's a measurement that our people would use, I got 700,000 furlongs. Okay? Make sure you write that down. When I measure the distance of the Holy Sepulchre Church to Temple Mount, which is over here, I got 2,000 feet. And that was 0.378789, which is basically 0.4 miles. When I converted to furlongs, I got 1,400,000 furlongs. Okay? Also, and I'm going to minimize this map here. Okay? I'm going to decrease it in size. And as I'm decreasing size, I want you to take a picture, where this is located. And this is called the Old City of Jerusalem. And I will put the link of this map in the description box so you can play with it and, and do further study. So I do know it's over here still. Okay. Again, it is over here in this area. So when I measured this area to Jericho, I got about 11 miles. Again, I used their measurement down here to figure out how far is the old city of Jerusalem to Jericho. Now keep in mind, I'm talking about modern day Jerusalem, which is the Amorite Jerusalem and Eliot Capitona. This is not the true Jerusalem. Okay? So get ready to begin to talk about Judea. So I'm going to have to go to my Facebook so you can see Judea. Now, before I go there, I do want to mention this. Take a look. This is the old city map of, the old city. See the boundaries right here? You got Dome Rock right here. Okay? And I want you to compare it to Elio Capitona. We're going there now. So Temple Mount would be where Temple of Jupiter is. Okay. And when you see Temple of Aphrodite, that's where the Holy Sepulchre Church is. Okay. This is Calvary somewhere in this area. Okay. And I remember Temple of Aphrodite would be Temple of Venus. So we know that when he built this city, because it said in other sources that Calvary was located in the middle of the street, in the middle of Hadrian City, which is Edio Capitone. So it can be somewhere in this area. And this is what I'm giving you is just a rough estimation. Okay. So now let us go to. Let me get out of here. I want to go to this map. So this is why it's so important to understand the borders of Israel, because it's going to prove what I'm about to show you now of why modern day Jerusalem today is not the true Jerusalem. Now, what you're going to want to do, you're going to want to pause your screen because I'm not going to read all of this word for word. I'm just going to give you the highlights. Okay. And those who follow me on Facebook, you can go to my photo album. It's dealing with Yahuwah prophecies and the Synagogue of Satan or Tabernacle of Satan. All right. So what we're going to go into is dealing with the measurement of the province Judea. According to Josephus, it's about 3 millions of an arroray. An arroray. And an arroray is an Egyptian measurement for acres. So it stands for Egyptian acres. And arroray is spelled Arourae. So Judea is 3 millions arroray. So you know your sister, I love numbers. So I converted into our acres unit. So get ready, write this down. So I got 2,250,000 acres. That's how big Judea was. When I converted into square miles, I got 3,515.625 square miles. All right. Now I'm going to take you to another picture because you need to keep this in mind about the borders, because the picture I'm going to won't go all the way down to the lower part of the southern borders of Israel. Okay. So it's very important that you keep this picture in mind. All right. And also the river Sahara, remember it is the river of Egypt. And another name for it today is Wadi. Sometimes you see the Y with the I in place of the Y. WADI or WADY. El-Arish. Okay, that's another name for it today. So I want you to keep this in mind. Okay, you see how it meets to the borders of Edom, and then it comes in and take a slight dip, and it heads towards the river of Egypt. All right. So I'm going to go to another picture because I'm going to have to let you see how I get these numbers. Now this was in my book of Josephus. Also keep in mind that Israel goes all the way up here too now. But right now I'm only focused on Judea, this province here. Okay. And if you look at a map today in most of your Bibles, Judea was a big province. So starting on this northern border here. This is the northern border. Okay? This border borders Samaria, the province Samaria. So on the northern border, on the west side, measure all the way down to the river of Egypt, which is Sahor. I got about 110 to 114 miles long, depending what map you use. All right? And then going from the central part of the northern border down to the southern part of the northern border, I got 120 miles long. And the reason why you're not going to have perfect numbers all the way through, because remember, this is not a square, this is not a rectangle, this is dealing with land. So the border is not always perfectly straight, And then on this border over here, starting on the north end, going on the east side, all the way down, I got about 80 miles long. Okay. Now, dealing with the northern part of Judea, this is where modern day Jerusalem is. For the width of this area, I got about 50 miles wide. Now, in the southern part of Judea, I got about, and let me memorize this just a little bit. I got about 70 miles wide. And this is the southern part of Israel. Okay. Now let's talk about the true city of David, which is in Tel Aviv, Israel today. You can look this on Wikipedia. I won't have to do this. Okay. To get that screen off. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. The city of David has several names. In the work of Josephus, it can be Salem, which is in the Bible, Salem, or Solomon, Solyma, or Zion. You can find it in 2 Samuel chapter 5, verse 4 to 12. Okay? Also, when you go to the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 1, another name for it is Ariel, and it means the lion of Yahuwah or the lion of the city. All right, those who had the 1611 Bibles, you would see that in your precept area or your description area. Okay. Now for dealing with distance. When we look at the northern border to the city of David, I get 60 miles. And that's the same from the city of David to the southern borders, I get 60 miles, which add up to a total of 120 miles going this way. Okay. When I look from the east, make sure I look right. When I look at the eastern end from this point down to this point, I get about 35 miles. Okay. When I go from this point to this point, I get about 40 miles. All right. So roughly it could be from 70 miles going across or 75 miles going across. Again, it depends what source you're using. And keep in mind, when you're using these maps and you're trying to get the mileage, it's based off of you driving. So it's the difference between you measuring by hand from point to point versus the sites telling you how far something is. Okay. Let's see where else. Now, the distance between the city of David to modern day Jerusalem, which is the false Jerusalem, I get about 37 to 40 miles. By road, if you're driving, you'll get about 48.8 or 49.6 miles. So by road, it'd be roughly 49 or 50 miles between the city of David and modern day Jerusalem, which is the fake Jerusalem. All right. Now, when you look at modern Jerusalem, which is up here, this is the Amorite Jerusalem, also Elio Capitone. From the northern border, it's about 22 miles. You get about 20 to 22 miles. Okay. If I go from modern Jerusalem down to the southern borders, I get about 100 miles. So therefore, Josephus said that the city of David is the center, the navel of the province Judea. Therefore, based on these measurements I just gave to you, the modern day Jerusalem is not in the center of Judea. It's more in the northern part of Judea. Okay. So it is not the center of Judea. And you can look at the mileage when you compare from going from the northern border to modern Jerusalem and from modern Jerusalem to the southern border. It's a big difference. All right. Now we're going to talk about Jericho. So the part that I measured from Jericho to modern day Jerusalem, I got about 18 miles if you're driving, which is 28.8 kilometers. And that's about an hour and 1 minute. And that's driving from this road here, which is Calvary. And the name of that street is Via Dolorosa, spelled as VIA DOLOROSA street. Now, if I measure from point to point on the map, I got 12 and a half miles, which is about 20 kilometers. Now, today, Cyprus Fortress, which is in Jericho, ancient Jericho, okay, is located above Wadi Quilt, and it's spelled as WADIQELT. All right, and you can find that in the work of Josephus, the Book of Antiquities, Book 14, Chapter 15, Section 1 through 3. All right. Let me go back to my Google Map so you can see what I'm talking about. So based on my Google Map, let me find where I'm at. We have Jericho here. I know the old city of Jerusalem is here. Now, remember this map, I don't know if this is ancient Jericho or modern Jericho, but we know modern Jericho has to be somewhere in here. And if you know the history about Jericho in the Old Testament, when that place was destroyed, a curse was placed on that place. And I know Joshua, I think it's in the book of Joshua, and it also has to be in the book of Kings or Chronicles. But basically, whoever built a city on this place was cursed. And the first person who did that, his first two sons died. They died when he built that city there. And King Herod also built several palaces there at Jericho. And I know one of them was even destroyed. Okay. Now, today, if you look at how far, I'm going to say ancient Jericho, because you know it got to be somewhere in this area, to the old city, Jerusalem, I got about 11 miles based on this map when I use this measurement. Okay. But according to prophecy, when you look at Calvary again, so I'm gonna blow this map up again, my people. We know that when Yahushua was crucified, okay, so when Yahushua was crucified, they said that he could hear the people mocking him or scorning him that was inside the city gates. And therefore, we know Calvary was outside the city gates. So for him to hear that, he had not been that far. And keep in mind, when people built cities, And in the times of antiquity, they built walls around their cities to protect their cities from their enemies. And you can read that throughout the whole Bible. Okay. So again, when I measured um, Calvary, which is located underneath the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, to the Tower of David, which is where they found King Herod's palace and Pontius Judgment Hall, I got about 0.2 miles. That's very close. So keep in mind, we don't know where the gate of this area started, but at least it gives us an idea why Calvary is here and why the two witnesses would come here, because we know this is Edom Capitona. And again, if you look at the border of how this is shaped, it is matching right on up with Edom Capitona. Okay. Some other things I want to give you for notes, and you want to write this down. When you read the work of Josephus, you will find that the upper market is Mount Zion, and the lowest city in Jerusalem is called Arca, Arca. And he said, and I quote, that Arca, which is the lowest city, is the shape of a moon when she is horned, opening face south towards the wilderness of Judah. And for a precept with the Bible, as far as the wilderness of Judah, which is located in the south of Arad, you can read that in the book of Judges, chapter 1, verse 16. Also, to get the distance of Jerusalem, far as circumference wise, you can find it in Apion of his book, book 1, section 22, and go to number 197. For it says that the circumference of Jerusalem was 50 furlongs. So when I convert 50 furlongs to feet, I got 35,000 feet. When I convert that to miles, I got 6.6287888 miles, which is basically 7 miles in circumference, the city of David. Okay. And he said, when he wrote this, he said, during that time, about 120,000 men lived there. All right. It's some very good things. Also, the Mount of Olive is located east of Jerusalem. He said it in his book. You'll find it in Ward, book 5, chapter 2, section 3, number 70. And he said it was 6 furlongs, which is 4,200 feet. When I convert it into miles, I got 0.795438 miles. And that was one of the mountains that our Savior would go to, which is Mount Olive. So you know it's in the east. Some other things you want to write down dealing with Pilate's judgment house or the hall of judgment can be found in the book of John, chapter 18, verse 28, I believe. And the precept for that is Acts chapter 10, verse 28. And also read Luke chapter 3, verse 1, and Luke chapter 23, verse 1 through 17. Because this is talking about Herod the tetrarch, the tetrarch, Tetrarch. For we know Herod was governing over Galilee, and that's why Pontius called Herod, because he felt like Herod should be the one to handle this. So we know Herod's judgment house was higher up, okay? So therefore Pilate had to be in the area that was near Jericho, because you know Jericho is a place where the roads met to go down to the true holy Jerusalem. Read that Bible again, my people, and read the work of Josephus, and you begin to see how these clues come all together. Okay. So to end this lesson, I want to just sum up what we just talked about. So let me go here. So the folded album that I'm talking about is titled Yahuwah Prophecies and Temple Mount, Satan Tabernacle. And I just want to read this to kind of like bring everything together. And let me blow this up. So this is proof of Pontius Pilate judgment hall / seat is located in modern Jerusalem. And modern Jerusalem is Elio Capitona. For it is not far, is Elio Capitona. And Pilate judgment house / seat is not far from Calvary. Okay. This is where the two witnesses who are Enoch and Elijah. For we know they was the only two who did not see death, and they did not go to Sheol. And Sheol is located in the heart of the earth. This is where Yahushua went for 3 days, which 3 days is a total of 3 days and 3 nights, to deliver and set the captives free, as written in the book of Ephesians, chapter 4, as well as Songs. Okay. So this is where the two witnesses, Enoch and Elijah, will appear, as written in Revelation 12. For this place is spiritually Egypt and Sodom, where Yahushua was crucified. For the Jewish, who are the converts of today, they are not the true Jews, have the whole world in bondage, for they control the wealth, media, news, and etc. And they follow the Talmud and not the covenant of Yahuwah, which is why they allow sodomy in the land. You can scroll down some. The scriptures never specify which city Yahushua was taken for judgment in Pontius Pilate house. So when you go back and read those scriptures, it didn't really say Jerusalem, it just said a city. Okay. Passover is in springtime, which is also close to the end of the winter season, which explains why Pilate was at Herod's palace that is near Jericho. So Herod's palace, I'm not talking about Herod the tyrant. I'm talking about Herod the Great. That was his father who built those ancient palaces. The work of Josephus will confirm that Herod built many palaces throughout the land of Israel, and also the Maccabees built synagogues and places in and near the Jericho area. And I'm just saying this about the Maccabees on the top of my head. If I am incorrect, I do apologize, my brothers and sisters, but I do know for a fact that the Maccabees did build palaces in the Jericho area. Review the books of the Gospel and the works of Josephus, for the city of David is the naval center of the province of Judea. And remember, the southern borders does meet Edom borders. Then take a slight dip inwards, heading towards the river of Egypt, which is Sahor, known as Wadi El Arish. Okay? Wikipedia, here's the link for Wikipedia, and I'll put that in the description box so you can read more about Calvary. And about Elio Capitone, they have found the ruins in the old city of Jerusalem, which is modern day Jerusalem, my people. And that would confirm this is where the two witnesses would come. It will also confirm this is where Calvary is. It will also confirm that Herod's palace was the city that had gates and wall that was near Calvary. So they have found that at the Tower of David in modern Jerusalem. So, my brothers and sisters, as we can see, this proves prophecy. It proves that the Bible is real, is correct. And this is why we need to preach the gospel to all nations. For the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And we know, my people, we know that Yahushua is coming back, for this is the season based on the signs that we see in the last days. So this is why it's so important for us to preach as hard as we can because we don't want no soul to be lost to the eternal lake of fire. And we don't want no one to go through or have to deal with the last Antichrist. But we know what the word said. We know that many is not going to believe us. They're not going to wake up, and they're going to have to endure the time of the Antichrist reign and prove themselves to Yahuwah and Yahushua. Okay? That's something to really think about, my family. Because I think about my family, my friends, the strangers, my brothers and sisters in the Hebrew Israelite community. I think about everybody because a lot of people don't have a clue or idea what's coming. They think everything's going to be the same, but it's not. So I just want you to focus on this picture here. Take a picture of it. And I do want to show you where Jericho is. Again. It's just over here. That's modern Jericho. I know ancient Jericho got to be somewhere over here. And this is the old city of Jerusalem right over here. So I got about 11 miles or 12 and a half miles. Okay. And this is where you can find the ancient Cyprus fortress that Josephus talked about. All right, my family, I love you. And shalom. And please share this truth with everyone. But we don't have much time. Shalom.